I just helped a runner stay on track for the rest of their training for the Boston Marathon, even after getting injured just about 6 weeks before. In this video, I'm going to show you how to manage pain, keep training, and still make it to the start line without making it worse. I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, a physical therapist and run coach. I help runners stay pain-free while improving their performance. And today I'm bringing down the exact system I used with my runners when things go wrong close to race day. So, maybe you're been training for months and you got a major race coming up. Maybe you got the Boston Marathon or you got the Chicago or New York Marathon, etc. And then pain shows up out of nowhere. And most runners panic, right? They stop running completely or they push through, they ignore the pain and they make it worse, right? Getting pain before a race doesn't automatically mean you're out, depending on the nature of the pain, of course, right? If you had some traumatic injury or something, obviously you have to go talk to a doctor or something. But if it's more mild, moderate kind of pain discomfort, there are ways to train around that, work around that. And if you want access to this Google Doc, I'll drop it inside my free school community for runners, link in the description. So understand what's actually happened. Most running injuries aren't random. They're a mismatch between load and capacity. Load is your the training demands you, the stressors you put on your body. So when it comes to running, whether it's the mileage, the speed, going on a long run, the different terrains, etc. All these things are load or stressors on the body. And then your body's capacity, how strong it is, how mobile it is, how much sleep you've given it, how much nutrition, fuel you've given it. If your body's capacity isn't able to match the load you're putting on it, it's going to break down. That's why a lot of these runner injuries happen. Common overuse injuries, right? The good news is, if you understand how this thing works, you can adjust it. You can oftentimes adjust your training, right? Decreasing the load and also help your body build up a capacity. Oftentimes you can bounce back from a lot of these running injuries. So use a pain traffic light guide system, right? So a green light, if your pain, let's say it's knee pain or ankle pain, whatever, most of these injuries follow a similar framework, whether it's runner's knee, IT band syndrome, ankle pain, hip pain, back pain. This pain traffic light guide actually applies through all these type of musculoskeletal or sport injuries. So green light is 0 to 3 out of 10 pain. It's mild pain. It doesn't worsen. You're not compensating. You're not limping. It doesn't change your gait. Sure, good. You could oftentimes keep training. It's very mild pain, right? You could oftentimes work around it. Maybe if you want to be extra safe, if you're doing continuous running, maybe switch to a run walk method. Yellow light. Now, this is pain intake of moderate pain, 4 to 6. It settles after, right? It settles within like an hour or so. Maybe you go for a run. You have some pain. It kind of spikes up a little bit, but then it settles down after maybe a day or so of rest or so. What to do? I still recommend here you actually start modifying. This is where you use caution. You modify your workout. Maybe cut down the volume or the intensity, 30 to 50%. Maybe split up your long run. Instead of doing like a 2-hour long run, you do like 1 hour on Saturday, 1 hour on Sunday, right? Do cross training, right? You're not stopping. You're just adjusting, modifying your plan. Red light. This is the severe pain. Right? Limping. You got visible limping or swelling in the joint, clicking, locking in the joint, or severe pain, sharp pain, stabbing pain. It's really affecting even just your walking. You're limping when you're walking. Like, hey, do you need a cane? Do you need some help? This is where you should stop and actually get some help, especially if it's been lasting for like 2 weeks. This pain, like severe pain, even over a week or so, 1 to 2 weeks. All right. I don't care if your race is in 2 weeks. This is how people turn a 2-week issue into a 6-month injury, right? Go to your doctor, get the stuff checked out. Sometimes it could be an underlying stress fracture or something, or some more major injury. This is where you should get professional help instead of trying to do it yourself, or like, I'm gonna go ask Dr. Google or Dr. Chat GPT. Be smart about your body. Otherwise, you're can cause longer damage. And then there's the pain traffic light guide. You can see there. It's going to give you the green light, yellow light, red light system. And how to keep training, right? So oftentimes I'm a big fan of doing the run walk method. There's different coaches who have different variations of this, of course. But essentially you just run with walking breaks. You may even cut it all the way down to like a 1-minute run or a 30-second run or a 10-second run. And then you walk for 30 seconds, you walk for 50 seconds, right? Run walk isn't just for beginners. It's for runners who are smart, older runners, injury prone runners. And in fact, you can actually complete a whole marathon doing a run walk strategy. Another fan of thing is decreasing the frequency. Let's say you're running 6 days a week, cutting it down to just 3 runs per week. And if you're currently injured, maybe just do easy runs for all 3 runs, or like 2 easy runs and a long run, but the long run is also easy. Remove the speed workout, remove the tempo runs, the intervals, especially if you're dealing with pain or injury. Consistency is more important than intensity here when you're injured. Once you're healthy, yes, obviously you could ramp it up, more speed workout thresholds, etc. Do cross training. So on the non-running days, you could bike, walk, row, swim. You don't lose fitness. This is how you shift. You work around the injury to still cross train, build up your aerobic fitness while you're not you're not sitting completely on the couch. You're not completely resting. This is even in rehab. Let's say rehabbing a runner with knee pain and they can't run. We'll oftentimes put them on the bike so they can maintain their cardio fitness on a bike. So the acute injury framework, let's say your pain just happened a few weeks ago. You have acute injury, a sudden onset of pain. So acute pain is pain that's usually in the first 4 weeks or so, week 1, week 2, week 3, etc. So let's go. Peace, protect, elevate, avoid anti-inflammatories, compress, educate, love, load, optimization, vascularization, exercise, right? Rest alone doesn't fix running injuries. Smart loading does. So if you want to, pause this, you could check it out, right? Protection. So essentially you want to protect the area, avoid activities that make it worse, especially the first few days after the injury. If you need to, elevate the leg to help with swelling. Avoid excessive anti-inflammatories, at least early on, because excessive things like ibuprofen, Advil, etc. If you take too much of them, they actually delay the normal healing process. So at least short-term, avoid anti-inflammatories, and then compression. Know that your body, you listen to your body, right? Don't just lay on the couch all week, right? But you could train around it, be smart. Obviously, you could work with a doctor to help you, figure out what's going on with your injury, especially if it's been lasting more than 2 weeks or so. A load. All right. So then you also want to gradually return to your normal activities, right? You start adding some activity, whether it's your knee, your ankle, like maybe do a specific ankle exercise or knee exercise, etc. Be optimistic because your brain, your mindset can actually influence the healing, right? If you have a negative mindset, negative attitude, oftentimes you actually raise stress hormones in the body. While you're more optimistic, it helps calm your body down and gives it a nice healing environment for it to heal. It's interesting. I've worked with multiple runners over the past 10 years, and those who are more optimistic about their healing tend to do better, while those who are more pessimistic tend to have a longer recovery. And it's crazy about how the mind can actually influence the body, and vice versa. Vascularization, choose pain-free activities, right? So let's say if even walking hurts, that's why the bicycle is such a great cardio cross-training tool. And nowadays you can actually buy bikes you just put in your home. They're pretty inexpensive. You just hop on the bike from home. And then this also helps improve circulation, blood flow, helps the body feel better. And then gradually restore your exercising and getting back to running, depending on the nature of the injury. But there it is. That's the framework. So let's fix the root cause. If you don't fix this, it'll come back. So oftentimes it's not an issue with just stretching. It's a strength issue, a stability issue. And it's not just doing general strength training. It's doing specific strength exercise for your weak areas. Like if it's your Achilles, it's typically your calf. If it's your knee, it's typically your quad or your glutes. If you're a hamstring, it's also the glutes or obviously the hamstring as well, the posterior chain. And that's why most runners stay stuck in the injury cycle. They don't do any strength training at all, or they do generic strength exercises that don't actually target the weak links that they need to actually strengthen. That's oftentimes what people do when they're working with a good physical therapist for runners rehab, that they're actually working on the weak links that's holding them back, that's keeping them injured or stuck. Like here, an example of a step down exercise. This could be progressed with weights, barbell, dumbbell, kettlebell, all sorts of objects, weighted vest, etc. But essentially, you're loading up on the one leg, single leg strengthening, and then obviously targeting the weak links. And it may vary runner by runner. So if you want temporary relief, right, you can do things like foam rolling, lacrosse ball, massage. It can help. Even do some mobility work as well. Target whatever your tight areas are. Typically, it's calves, quads, hip flexors. But half the time, it's just an overloaded tissue. It's not like true tissue damage where it's completely torn. Oftentimes, like a sprained muscle or a strained, maybe the joint's kind of locked up. You restore the joint mobility. That can help. But again, if you've been dealing with this thing for a few weeks, obviously work with a professional to get that stuff checked out. Ideally, someone who understands how to work with runners. So the big mistakes: increasing your mileage too fast, ignoring early pain, no strength training, poor sleep, poor nutrition. Like people who think, walking is not for me. I'm not going to walk through my runs. No, put the ego aside, do the run walk method. And most injuries aren't bad luck. They're just predictable, right? Training errors, too much, too soon, too fast. So when to get help, right? Pain's not improving. You got red flags, severe pain, limping, joints swollen up on you, and it's been like a week or two, you're getting closer to race day. This is where having a coach, expert, especially a medical professional who understands runners is everything. I'm both a physical therapist and a run coach, and I've helped a lot of my runners kind of avoid these pitfalls. So you can still run your race, depending again on the nature of the injury and the severity of the pain. You may just have to adjust your strategy. See, worst case, you either defer the race and come back stronger. So this is an end, it's just a checkpoint and a learning lesson. And if you want help fixing this the right way, I have a few spots open for one-to-one coaching to help you run pain-free and perform your best. Link below to apply, to book a call. And not all pain just means stop running, right? Not all pain means tissue injury. Not always. And smart adjustments beats pushing through. Strength and load management equals long-term success.